Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to I Care About You, the podcast where we talk about how to live richer, deeper, more happier lives, and to really figure out where we're going and what we're doing in this life. What is our path and purpose? Why are we here? What matters to us? I'm your host, Juliana J, and today we're talking about something that nearly all of us struggle with from time to time, and that's self-forgiveness. Why is it so difficult to forgive ourselves when we make mistakes, when we feel like we've fallen short, when we've hurt someone or we've hurt ourselves, when we've said the wrong thing, done the wrong thing? It can be something very, very small to something large, and we hold on to it and don't forgive ourselves. How might we begin to soften into a different relationship with our past, with our flaws, with our should-haves, with our what-ifs? I will be weaving in the teachings of Tara Branch on radical acceptance, especially the notion of meeting ourselves with an open, compassionate presence. We will finish with a short mindfulness practice you can use today or begin to work with a couple of times a week or whenever you need it on self-forgiveness and shifting your internal dialogue, which is so important in this process. So find a comfortable seat, maybe even a journal, and let's begin. Let's start by naming some of the common experiences around self-forgiveness. The why is this so hard part of forgiveness. Many of us carry a voice inside us that says, you shouldn't have done that. I should have been better. I'm not good enough. I'm just stupid. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not valid. I'm not worthy of having a good experience. And Tara calls this the trance of unworthiness. When we feel shame, guilt, regret, we often resist those feelings and we push them away and we hide them or we distract ourselves. But that resistance in itself causes the suffering. As Tara notes, when we stop being at war with ourselves and we embrace radical acceptance, we are free to live fully every precious moment of our lives. Self-forgiveness is hard because often it means confronting a pain, a responsibility, looking at our own vulnerability, which is extremely hard for so many of us. Our fear that I don't deserve kindness or I don't deserve forgiveness. It might require humility. It might require discomfort. In many cultural and personal narratives, we're taught, just move on, don't feel bad, be strong, put it behind you, just move forward. But that can lead to a suppression of how you're feeling rather than any type of healing. This whole buck up, cowboy up sort of way of being, it takes away from this personal aspect of actually living. And part of actually living and being in this human experience is dealing with things when they don't go perfectly, which is almost all the time. There's also fear of letting ourselves off the hook. If I forgive myself, I'll keep repeating that mistake. I will be complacent. I'll never change. But radical acceptance doesn't mean ignoring responsibility. It gives us a space from which we can act wisely. As one commentary puts it, the boundary to what we can accept is the boundary to our freedom. So let me repeat that because it's hard to wrap your mind around. The boundary of what we can accept is the boundary to our freedom. That's from How to Train a Happy Mind. So if we're unable to accept or let in a lot of what happens in life, our freedom becomes very limited too. It's our ability to hold it all in this mindfulness way of just here it is. This is life. Life is not perfect. Life is not anything you see on TV or media or movies or any of that nature. It's all fabricated. And being able to train our minds to be happy really involves being able to hold everything. And that's the key to your freedom, just being able to accept it or understand it or even acknowledge. Even acknowledging that you made a mistake is so, so, so hard. We tend to then put it off on somebody else, and we tend to make the other person the villain so that we don't have to look at our own mistakes. Instead of looking at them and finding forgiveness for them or realizing that you're not the only one that did that and circling back to create some change in the relationship. All of us do that. It's human nature. But learning to do that less and self-reflect when you can is the key to longevity around happiness. Self-forgiveness is hard because it asks us to meet our suffering, to stop resisting, to feel our feelings and invite compassion. It asks us to change our relationship with our own story. It asks us to look at our story in more of a neutral, truthful way, rather than making up conjectures, rather than making up excuses, rather than pointing the finger the other way or ignoring it. It really is a freedom. When you learn to do that, it literally is so freeing. I'm not saying it's not scary. I had a recent situation where I was really, really afraid to say my truth and to circle back to something I had said before that turned out I couldn't honor. And I had to go back and say, well, actually, I can't do that. I need to do this. And to put myself first, really, really hard, so hard. And I had a lot of fear around it. But then the conversation kind of came up spontaneously and I just stepped into it. And it's scary. It's scary. It's really scary to look at these shadows we have in our lives. And that's why we tend to stuff it down, not think about it, not process it, not review it, not reflect on it, and not tell ourselves something that's more personal and truthful. Instead, we're looking for an out, an escape, so that we don't have to face these shadows in our lives. Radical acceptance is all about forgiveness. It's about other things too, but we're talking about forgiveness today. Now let's move into the heart of the teaching, how radical acceptance supports self-forgiveness. Radical acceptance, as taught by Tara Branch, is about meeting the moment and the person that you are with an unconditional, kind present. It's about saying yes to what is being experienced so we can respond with clarity rather than contradiction. It's about just acknowledging that's there, acknowledging this thing, this very human thing is there and it's affecting us. And it happened. Just acknowledging, letting it be there. You know, I'll tell you one thing now that I'm older. I always thought up until literally a couple months ago that once you get older, you have it all figured out and you're just kind of skating and you know the drill and all of that. And I had this epiphany realization that that is not what happens at all. You are just at it as much in unknown territory as you were when you were 20. It's just a different unknown territory. You just step into different things. And being able to actually meet it and see it and recognize it rather than getting stuck in the constructs of, well, I'm old now, so I should know, or I'm the boss, so I should know, or I'm the head of household, or whatever, however you're defining yourself. And that gives you an out to not reflect is really just pushing it away and not acknowledging it because all of life is a lesson, my friend. It doesn't mean it's not glorious many of the times. Those are also lessons too. But you're not going to make it out of this life knowing everything. And that's something that's really hard to come to terms with, especially for us, at least me in this Western culture, it's very individualized. You're supposed to know it all by a certain time, or like the big boss must know it all. Spiritual leaders must know it all, but no one does. That's what this is about. In Tara's words, our capacity to realize the truth of who we are and to love that fully arises in the moments of true acceptance. And that is so beautiful, my friends, don't you think? I mean, if you can realize the truth of who you are, imagine resting in the truth of who you are, not trying to keep all these walls up and do all these things so that your facade is kept in place, but really just being able to be in the truth of who you are, coming authentically to things. It's really hard to do that, surprisingly, because we do build up these personas of what expectations are and our own inadequacies that we're trying to mask, and to just come fully with your own truth and authenticity and to be able to love that. That arises when you truly, truly just accept what is. It sounds so simple, but it is so hard for us. It is so hard for us. Some of us will never do that. Some of us can only do it in fleeting moments. It will probably never be a place you stay in all the time. But when you can find those moments of true acceptance, that's when the soul growth is so huge. It's so huge. There's so much talk nowadays about moving from 3D to 5D. And one of the key components to that transformation has to do with this exact concept. Being able to realize the truth of who you are, living in your authenticity, and to fully love that person and to find true moments of acceptance, not just for yourself, but for others too. But it starts with yourself. If you can't forgive yourself, you won't be able to forgive others. It's just par for the course. Forgiving ourselves becomes possible when we stop the internal war, the beating ourselves up, the harsh critic that we all have, the I should have known better, I'm so dumb, things that creep into our mind. Instead, we can say things like, I am here, I made a choice, here is what happened, and I am human. Instead of launching into that inner critic or justification mode or beating ourselves up about it, to just stop it when you see that happening and say to yourself, I'm here right now. This has helped me so much. I was in a crisis a couple years ago, well, quite a while ago, when I woke up during surgery. And as a consequence, I tried to get off the table. And now I have a permanent disability as a consequence. It's in my foot. And I got the surgery because I was a long distance runner and I was having a problem with my foot. And now I can't run anymore. And that was a huge mind glob for me. I just couldn't get past it. And I really worked. What got me past it and through it is to just stop and go, I am here now. I am right here. I'm here. I just started with that. I didn't do anything more. And then it was like, here's what happened. My feelings are human. My response is human. My mistakes around this are human. I am human. And this is happening in this human experience. And just being able to sit with that quietly whenever I felt this, I started having anxiety attacks again and all kinds of things. And just really, really grief and sorrow over the loss of what I thought life was going to be like after the surgery. And just stopping when I felt that spiral coming on and going, here I am. Here's what happened. And I am human, was life-saving and shifted everything for me. You might think that's a little too naive to think that, but if you're really doing that practice in all seriousness, in all mindfulness, it is really powerful. So do not underestimate it. If you do nothing else but that, when something's coming on, you will find you can show up more authentically within yourself and to be more present in just doing that slight mindfulness exercise with yourself. This doesn't mean we excuse what happened or avoid learning from it. No, 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 no. That's the whole point. Rather, we hold the fact of what happened and the fact of ourselves in relation to what happened, and to be able to hold ourselves in compassion that we got caught in this thing that's just human experience. We treat the event as part of our story, not as a totality of our own worth. And that's what I was talking about with that I am here, this is what happened, I am human practice. It allows us to not become the totality of what happened, not become, I am a bad person because I did something wrong to a really good friend, or I stole, or something happened to me that is changing my identity of myself, such as divorce or relationships ending, or any kind of loss, end of job, losing actual living creatures that are important to you, that you love. All these things, they are part of your story, but you can so easily make them part of your worthiness. That's a tendency we tend to do. Something horrible happened. I mean, I'm kind of still struggling with that, having given up a corporate job and then really struggling to be back in that same framework in some way that's more joyful. And then having this job crisis in the United States happening is really a card on the ego for those of us that are working with that right now. And it's very easy to let that be the totality of your worth because this thing is happening to you. But that is just part of your story. It's not your truth. It's not your totality of who you are as a human being. It is your truth. Let me rewind there. It is your truth that it's part of your story, but it is not a defining characteristic of who you are forever and ever and in all eternity. And that's all you are. That is not. But we tend to do that. We tend to think a bad thing happens to us and either we hate the other people and we create this whole other story around it and we don't see their humanity in it, and or we use it as a gauge for our own worth and decide we're worth less. A useful metaphor from Tara's work: think of a child who scrapes herself while riding a bike. The wise parent doesn't yell, "You're awful for falling." The parent kneels down, sees the scrape, applies care, helps the child get up. Radical acceptance invites us to become our own wise parent. Radical acceptance is a huge part of self-parenting, which I talked about a long, long time ago, but should probably talk more about that concept. But in self-parenting, one of the components is showing up for yourself as you would want your parent to, a compassionate parent, maybe a parent, the way you're getting what you want to get from the parent that maybe you didn't get from real caregivers. Learning to be that for yourself. Just acknowledging that, yeah, you fell down and you scraped your knee, but it's something that happened. It's not the totality of who you are. It's just something that happened, and being able to meet it with care and help and compassion is where the healing is in all of that. Showing up as your own wise parent, or what I say often, as your own best friend. When we apply radical acceptance, we loosen the grip of self-aversion, the part of us that says, I hate what I did. I hate who I am because of it. I hate myself for always doing this if it's a repeated pattern, which often it is. I hate myself for not holding up my boundary. I hate myself for deceiving myself or deceiving someone else. Tara says meeting our experience with presence and compassion awakens our hearts. Instead of meeting these things with self-hatred, our negativity, we can meet them with compassion. It doesn't mean you let yourself off the hook if you've done something. You can still meet yourself with compassion and then decide, okay, well, what am I going to do? Can I circle back and fix this problem? Can I change this somehow? If there's nothing I can do, can I find peace with it? Can I let it go? Which is a whole nother, it's part of this practice, but is a little deeper. In practical terms, you want to notice, I did fill in the blank. I did X. I feel shame, regret, guilt, sadness, anger, frustration. What did you feel? This is where writing in your journal might be helpful. Just writing down what you did is sometimes, it's eye-opening. I've been doing this lately with the thing I told you about that happened. And I really had to acknowledge some crappy things I did because I was so frustrated at this situation. I did this, and I feel shame about it, sadness, guilt. I feel embarrassment that I did this. Feel where it's in your body. Is it your heart racing? Is your chest tightening? Is it heaviness? And allow it to just be there in your body. For me, it's like in my stomach and my chest. Sometimes I feel it in my joints. Maybe that's an old people thing. I don't really know. But you feel it in your body too, and just acknowledge its presence. That's powerful to acknowledge. It's not something floating around. It's something you're experiencing in your body, in this space. Invite your kindness into this moment. You can say things like, may I be kind to myself right now. You can repeat the meta reflection, which is in my book, Reasons to Live. There's the meta reflection is in here somewhere. And I think it might be chapter 10. And it allows you to be able to just give yourself some compassion and some love. Look up the meta. Sometimes it's called meta prayer, meta chant, meta meditation, meta reflection. It has all different kinds of names, and it's very simple. It's a very simple thing you can do. It's just about loving awareness and giving yourself some love and everything else you share the planet with some love too, and finding connection. It's very, very powerful. And you can find it online or you can find it in my book, link in the description, but it's super powerful. Invite that kindness. May I be loved. May I be kind to myself. May I be safe. May I be understood. May I be met with compassion. Whatever you're feeling, may I be kind to myself right now. And to ask, what does this part of me need now? What is the truth in this story? Other good journaling prompts right there. What does this part of me need right now? Do you need nurturing, soothing? Do you need a hug? Do you need to fix the problem? Do you need to understand the problem? Do you need to tell somebody else? What does this part of me need right now? Often you can start with compassion. I need to be kind to myself right now. I need compassion, understanding. I need to figure out how to move forward and what are the things I need to be able to gather the strength to move forward. And what is the truth in this story? That is very powerful. Even if the truth is you made a horrible mistake, you're not alone. We all make mistakes. That's what the world is about. That's what being alive is about, making mistakes. You'll make so many more after this one. And it's okay. It's okay because that's human. So what is the truth of your story? Be brave. Tell yourself the truth. Be brave. I know you can do it. By doing this, we gradually shift from being defined by the mistake or the regret to being defined by our capacity to respond, to learn, to grow, to heal. Shifting that definition of, oh, I totally screwed up. I'm such a loser. Now I'm just going to be destitute all my life or whatever it is, to I made a mistake. I didn't advocate for myself. I didn't hold up my boundaries. I said the wrong thing. What can I learn and how can I heal and grow from this? Takes it away from becoming something you internalize as part of your whole worth. So let's talk about the steps towards self-forgiveness. Let's ground these 3 key steps that you can work with over time. 1, acknowledge and feel. We begin by bringing honest awareness to what happened and how we feel, not glossing over it, not going like, oh, it's fine, who cares, whatever. The first step is, I acknowledge this. I feel X. It's safe to feel regret, disappointment, sadness, grief, embarrassment, all the things that are really hard to feel. It is fine to feel those. We've just been conditioned by society to think there's something wrong with that, but they're normal human emotions. They're normal things. They have a purpose. Feeling grief has a purpose. Feeling sadness has a purpose. Feeling embarrassed has a purpose. What is the purpose for those feelings? And it's okay to acknowledge them, that you feel them. In Tara's framework, the resistance becomes the acceptance. So the resistance of, no, I'm not going to think about this, becomes the, yes, let me look at this with honesty and clarity and truth. The yes is our experience. The yes holds the learning opportunity, the growth opportunity, the compassion opportunity, the ability to know more. When I was talking earlier about being older and thinking you're supposed to know it all at a certain age and you don't, it's being real with things when they happen that gives you that knowledge, that wise old soul, the sages. They've worked with their experiences and that's how they know. Meet whatever happened with compassion. Once acknowledged, meet yourself with kindness. You can practice the RAIN concept that Tara often talks about, which I might do a podcast on later, is often recommended by Tara, and it's a good place to start. RAIN is an acronym for recognize what happened, allow it to be there, gently investigate it, and then nurture it. So what do I feel? Where is it in my body? What story am I telling myself? Why is it here? Why did it happen? What's behind this situation? and then nurture it. Bring kindness, care, and attention to it. We ask ourselves things like, if I were talking to a dear friend who did what I did, what would I say? Then turn that tone onto ourselves. This is another self-parenting, or what I was saying, the BFF situation. Be your own best friend, your own parent. What would you want? What would be the ideal thing somebody could say to you not right now? And not, don't worry about it, you're off the hook, but more like a compassionate response. And then respond and let go. Forgiveness includes a response. What do I need to know now? Maybe it's repair, maybe it's apology, maybe it's making amends. But even if those are not possible, we can respond by changing our relationship to the past. We release the grip of regret as the driver of our life. We can say, that past happened, I'm here now, and I will live from my values moving forward. I can hold the intention. May I learn from what happened? May I free myself from constantly replaying it over and over in my mind? May I free myself from defining who I am and how I show up as a consequence, and how I view the world. We often view the world through our mistakes or problems that have happened. You've heard people say, they can't keep a relationship or they can't keep a job or those things. That's because they've defined themselves as that person and their actions support it. This step doesn't mean forgetting or minimizing, it means integrating. We become larger than the event. We become bigger than the event because we've acknowledged it. Now we've worked with it and we've learned something about ourselves and we've come to ourselves with compassion and we're shifting that internal dialogue. I encourage you to accept that forgiveness may not happen in one sitting. It's a spiral effect. Often you can forgive yourself and it just comes back around, but it's deeper every time. You might hit the same thing over and over again, especially if you're learning to shift behavior that you've really ingrained in your life. You're learning to shift that behavior. Maybe it's you're learning to not just lash out the second somebody says something, but to pause and reflect and return later. And that takes time. And it's like a spiral. It just builds on itself. You get deeper and deeper and deeper into it every time you return. Radical acceptance invites patience and presence. It's not a rush to fix, but it's a willingness to heal. Now let's move into this guided mindfulness practice that I'm going to guide you through on learning to speak to yourself with compassion. So much of our internal dialogue is berating or unkind, and learning to shift is a game changer on so many levels. If you can shift at least some of your negative self-talk, it can really shift your life. It'll be like 2 degrees change is changing everything. This is a practice you can use right now or any time that you need support and self-forgiveness. You might want to find a place where you can sit comfortably and close your eyes and feel safe, or soften your gaze and bring your attention to just being here, just breathing. Just breathing, feeling your body settle, feeling the chair where you are, if you're lying down, what you're lying on, where the surface meets your body, how your body is feeling right now. Notice how your body reacts. Is there tightness, heaviness? Without trying to change it, unless you need to shift how you're sitting, just acknowledge that this is how you are right now in this moment. This is how you are in this moment, in this chair, in this world, in this moment. And as you just sense into it, feel the heaviness, feel the support of the earth or the chair or the bed, wherever you are, just feeling that support. And as you breathe, gently bring a phrase or an invitation. May I be free from suffering. May I be kind to myself. And we'll say this a couple of times. May I be free from suffering. May I be kind to myself. May I be free from suffering. May I be kind to myself. You can repeat these until you feel a little peace with everything. And then invite the attitude of radical acceptance. Imagine opening the arms of your awareness to include this memory, this feeling, the tension in your body, saying inwardly, yes, this happened. I am human, and I am here now. Hold it all in the radical acceptance, in the arms of your awareness, in the arms of your heart, just holding that. Yes, this happened. I'm human. I'm here now. Then pause and ask yourself, what does this part of me most need now? Ask yourself that with intention, and then quietly listen. Receive what comes. Maybe it's comfort, maybe a kind word, maybe nothing but silence, maybe tears. What do you need most right now? If a kind or gentle image arises, for example, I kneel beside the child in me, I place my hand over my heart. Soften into that image for a few breaths. I hold the child within me, warm and safe. I put my arms around myself. I place my hand over my heart, which you can actually really do. Put your hand over your heart and feel the gentle kindness you are giving to yourself. And then conclude with, may I learn, may I grow, may I be well. May I learn, may I grow, and may I be well. Just breathe a few times into that. Imagine releasing what you no longer need, the heavy burden, the repetitive loops, the reactions that aren't serving you. Let it go. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes or lift your gaze and carry the sense of kindness with you into your day. I want to thank you, as always, dear friends, for taking this time to be here together. Self-forgiveness is a journey, not a one-time event. Each moment you choose to show up for yourself, you choose presence instead of resistance, kindness instead of self-judgment, you deepen your freedom and wholeness. I hope you'll revisit this practice often, especially when the inner voice starts to blare, "You messed up." Pause, breathe, and offer compassion. Respond and let yourself be held. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to share it with somebody who might need this message. If you're working on healing, transformation, or self-love, I'd love to hear how you're using these practices in your own life or what you specifically do. As I always say, we are a community here at I Care About You. And if you have anything positive to share that you think might help folks, please let us know. You can DM me on any of the social media that I'm on with your reflections. You can comment. You can go to my website and email me, whatever works for you. If you would like more reflections and exercises on self-love and forgiveness and compassion, you can order my book, Reasons to Live. The links are in the description. It's literally available everywhere. Please pick it up if this is something that you're working on, because there's a lot in this book that you could use. And don't forget about our sponsors, Cozy Earth's luxury bamboo bedding and pajamas. It's at CozyEarth.com. Get 41% off the store with the promo code ICAREABOUTYOU. You can have the same sheets as Oprah and Kris Jenner and thousands of other folks who have bought these products and love them. And also Zevo Life. Get 30% using the promo code ICAREABOUTYOU. Just a teaspoon a day supports your gut, hair, and nails, boosts energy, and promotes healthier skin and hair. You can visit zevo.life today using the promo code ICAREABOUTYOU. And until next time, dear friend, know that I love you, and I support you, and I care about you. And I believe you are worthy of your own forgiveness and self-love. Take good care, my friend.